It's day 4 of Vlogust. It is Monday, almost noon, and I have had a very productive Monday morning doing all the usual things that I like to start my week off with, which is a bit of admin work, some shipping, and a bit of a studio tidy up. I have edited and uploaded my weekly Patreon video, and I think I'm going to go downstairs and have some lunch because I have not eaten yet today. And while I do that, I'm going to figure out what the rest of the day will entail. I think I need to run out to the grocery store. I have a little bit of sewing to do, but I wanted to show you a quick update on my studio because I feel like it gets so messy in here very, very quickly, but it's usually a quick tidy up, and it feels so good to clear off the table, to organize things into a few piles so that I can easily see what I have to do. So today I have shipping. I feel like I might drop that off tomorrow. It's a holiday here, and I know some things are open, but I'm kind of going to play it safe and drop off shipping tomorrow. I've got a pile of bags to work on this afternoon, but for the most part, I feel like I kind of have a handle on my work for today, and I'm excited to plan some meals for the week. I don't really know what I'm going to make at all for dinners, and I've kind of run out of my go-to things in the freezer and maybe even in the pantry a little bit. I cleaned out the pantry in the basement this weekend and found things that had expired a long time ago. And so there are a couple of things I just need to replenish, but for the most part, I feel like I'm starting my Monday off very well, exactly how I like to. I did do a little bit of knitting this morning while I watched some Kate Spears YouTube videos. I love her. So let me show you what the studio looks like after a little bit of a cleanup. I'm in the kitchen trying to find something to eat while I load up the dishwasher and make a little bit of a plan for the next day or two. I took my sourdough starter out of the fridge last night, so I need to feed that. I forgot about that. I've got some Ninja creamy containers here, and I think there are a few more I can gather because James and I are going to be making a whole batch of the Ninja creamy bases today. He has like a protein ice cream almost every day. It has been such a good kitchen appliance for us. And I just pulled out my little Hobonichi A6 journal. I love this cover. I don't know what it's called, but it's the cats on bread. And I recently set this up as a little kitchen diary. I shared a bit about it on one of my In the Kitchen Patreon videos. I am planning on keeping track of our dinners in the monthly pages. I did get a little sidetracked when I wasn't feeling well for a couple of weeks, but I'm hoping that the monthly pages will be a really good place to document what we had for dinner. And then I can flip through, get some ideas, because I tend to forget things that I've made, especially if it's the first time making a recipe and I really like it. And it's also kind of a neat diary to keep to see what we ate throughout the different seasons. And then I'm using the daily pages to keep track of things that I need to reference often. So I've got my sourdough starter instructions here because I've tried a few different ones using weights, using like actual measurements, and this is what works for me. I've got my basic sourdough loaf that I've been putting in the bread machine, which I love. And then a few things that I've been finding on TikTok or Instagram that are quick recipes, simple things I can jot down, but I don't necessarily have like a printout. These 3-ingredient banana pancakes we make very, very often. They're super easy, and sometimes I just forget the measurements, so I have a spot for that. I've also jotted down a couple of older recipes that I found on TikTok from Elise Jessie TV. I remember making these and loving them. I had little sticky notes inside my cupboard, but I decided to just put everything here. And I'm just keeping track of little recipes that I find or just different ideas. And I love having this nearby because it means I don't have to search for the recipe on my phone or in my photos if I screenshot it, and I don't have to pull out my big recipe binder. So this is working well for me. I've got a couple of things to kind of prep for the next couple of days. I might bake a loaf of bread tomorrow. I find the bread machine sourdough loaf so easy. I will try to find the recipe online and link it down below. I love a traditional sour loaf bread, but it is more time consuming, and I feel like sometimes it just gets a bit overwhelming if I'm busy. And this quick sourdough loaf in the bread machine is perfection. closed up all of the garden party bags. Sewing is complete, and I will start pressing them tomorrow. I got a little sidetracked and I started to make a bit of a mess. I pulled out some of my favorite bins of fabric scraps. I've got some good stuff in here that is so much fun to do some scrappy projects with. And I just decided to have a little bit of creative playtime and make another one of these e-readers for a friend of mine. This is the one I made for myself a little while ago. I thought it was a little too big, so I've adjusted my pattern. I need to kind of perfect this bias binding on the edges because I got an attachment for my Bernina machine, and I'm not sure if I'm loving how close or how not close enough to the edge I can get with it. So I will see what I'm going to do about that. I'm not going to share too much of my next one because it's for a friend, but I think I'm going to stop here. I had all of the fun with the patchwork part and I've quilted the layers together. I'm going to save the more detailed work for tomorrow because I know if I keep going, I will probably make a mistake and need my seam ripper. So I'll put on the label tomorrow, the little bit of Velcro, and then I need to pick out some fabric for the bias tape and figure out what and how I want to do that. So I am going to clean up this mess, but I feel like since it's out, I might want to pull a few more pieces of fabrics out because I was planning on making these for a couple of my nieces. So I'll see how this one goes. I feel like the size is a lot better, but once it's done, I might adjust it even just a little bit more. But I had fun and it was a really nice way to just end the day because I feel like it was a really productive Monday. I got a lot of work done this morning, a little bit this afternoon. I did some grocery shopping. I'm gonna keep dinner very simple tonight. I got some chicken breasts. I think I'm just going to grill them and then we can have them however we like. I think I'm going to have mine on a salad, kind of like a Cobb salad. I don't know, some of the boys might want a quesadilla. Glenn might want it just plain. So I'm gonna keep it simple, leave it in a casserole. Everyone can kind of fix up their dinner however they like. But I feel like it was a really good day filled with lots of work, but also some creativity. And I've been meaning to get back to these for months. It's just so hard to make the time sometimes when it involves pulling things out, and my room gets so messy with all of the other stuff that I'm working on that sometimes you just need to, I don't know, get lost in a bit of a mess. What do they say? Creative minds are rarely tidy, and that is for sure. So I'm going to clean up this mess. I'm going to grill some chicken for tonight. And I think that's it for today. So thank you so much for being here. I've been loving reading all of your comments. I'm really enjoying reading them first thing in the morning with my coffee. And I will see you tomorrow.